Are We to Blame? By William Davis. On January 7th, 2010, CBS released a series of news stories entitled Where America Stands that examined issues facing the United States in the new decade. One of the issues spoken about was the epidemic they described as obesity. An estimated two-thirds of Americans, more than 190 million people, are either overweight or obese. Obesity-related diseases are ringing up at a cost of $147 billion each year, 7 times the amount of money used to fight the war on drugs, and childhood obesity has tripled in the last 30 years. Who is to blame for the overall weight gain of the average American? Many people today put the blame on McDonald's, KFC, or even other obese people, what one journalist called spreading, quote, second-hand obesity, quote. Science writer Gary Taubes, author of the book How We Get Fat, argues that our diet's emphasis on certain carbohydrates, not fats or excess calories, has led the United States to the path that it's on. Taubes says, quote, people in these populations, the USA, get fat not because they eat too much or are too sedentary, but because the foods they live on, the starches and refined grains that make up the great majority of their diet, and the sugar, are literally fattening. But of all of the carbohydrates he points to, the worst being sugar, more specifically, high fructose corn syrup. Taubes says, when we digest the carbohydrates and starches, they eventually enter our bloodstream as glucose. Blood sugar increases, insulin is secreted, and calories are stored as fat. When we digest sugar or high fructose corn syrup, much of the glucose ends up in the general circulation, raising our blood sugar levels. The human body, and particularly the liver, never evolved to handle the kind of fructose load we get in modern diets. Quote. In the same article I mentioned earlier about CBS, they too mention in that article the impact of high fructose corn syrup on the American public. So the major menace to the obesity epidemic has been the inclusion of high fructose corn syrup to the American diet since the 1970s. It isn't so much the fries or the quarter pounder with cheese that hurts people, but the soda, especially since a small soda can range from a 20 ounce to a 32 ounce, depending where you go. In conclusion, if everyone limited their intake of high fructose infused drinks, one day, hopefully soon, America may get sugarcane back in its diet and lose weight at the same time.